We asked ourselves what makes a home. Is it the finishes? So we were really interested in how could we build a house that demonstrated that you don't need to use glamorous finishes to make a lovely home. You actually need smarts, you need design smarts, you might need the right team, but where do you invest your money? And that was the thing that we were most interested in. Having visited some of the sort of iconic houses, modernist houses, there's a very big emphasis at that the houses are about new ways of living. They're not about, look at these crazy finishes, and they're generally very simply built. And we're trying to work out what is a new way of living, or how could we investigate that? The site is actually made up of 2 lots. It's 380 square metres, but 160 square metres of that is an easement, which goes down the side of the site through to the rear. The easement didn't really worry us too much. We figured that that would just make a great garden. The house was an old weatherboard. It was quite charming from the front, but once you walked in the door, it was disgusting. The floor was rotted, there was a hole in the bathroom floor. We really wanted to see what were the critical things that would add to the house. And in some ways, we decided that the building was almost the most quiet thing in that equation. We decided that the garden was very important, that we needed to create a house that was technically advanced in a simple way, but it ticked all the boxes for solar, for heat pumps, for all those sorts of things that add value long term to your house. We started to look at our friends' houses that weren't architecturally designed and looked at the materials they used and the things they got joy out of. And they're not necessarily the things that architects get joy out of. So we decided that maybe if we designed a house that was using builders' grade materials rather than architects' grade materials, what sort of quality house could we make? But everything is off-the-shelf items, celebrating good trades. And that's really the premise. And on top of that base, we then had a few little luxury items. Our idea was to make the building as simple as possible, so we could make it as generous as possible by still maintaining some integrity to the spaces. It's a house that's been designed in 3 parts, effectively as 3 separate small dwellings that are all under one building, which came from our requirement to be able to deal with ageing in place, parents and son. The front half of the house has direct access through the old front door. That old part of the house is our guest wing and my study. And my study can also become a sitting room if we did have long-term guests. Then we have the main door, and then we have our living room, which is really made up of the most generous room in the house, which is our living, kitchen and dining area, and then Jojo's and my bedroom and ensuite, and then beyond that, facing the rear, is Luca's bedroom, bathroom and sitting room. The aim of that area is that in time we may even add a door to the corridor there so that he could have complete independence and enter the house from the rear. The house is actually designed on a really rigorous grid of 3.8 metres. So all the windows are actually all the same size, except for the one at the back. So the living room is made up of 3 windows, our bedroom is made up of 2 windows, and Luca's room is made up of 1 window. And we've sort of manipulated the wall locations and robes so that outside we've still maintained those window locations, even though some of them, the robes actually sort of sit 100 mil off the window. It just gave us real order in the rooms. In the living room, each bay is intended to be a use. So 1 window is the sitting room, 1 double window is the dining room, and 1 is the kitchen. We wanted the kitchen to be like an object, and because Luca wanted us to have an electric kitchen, we started to look at ovens and ended up asking Wolf for a price on an induction oven, and we were able to put that into our budget, which also led to us to put one of the Sub-Zero fridges in. And once we'd sort of locked in that fridge, how could you design a kitchen around the fridge that made it feel like it was all sort of all locked in? One of the things we did add to it was a breakfast bar with fold back doors, and that has been a real bonus. So at night the whole thing closes up and everything's wiped down, and you don't see some of those things like the toaster and the coffee machine and whatnot. Amanda Oliver did the garden. When we came to do this house, it was really important to us that the garden was done as early as possible. Her ability to layer up planting in a seasonal, so that you don't really know what's going on, but throughout the seasons, it's always a surprise. It's amazing. I mean, there's some plants out there that we looked at and went, oh my God, what the hell is that? And then 3 months later, it's got the most beautiful flower, and you're thinking, we know nothing, you know. I said to Amanda that we didn't want any grasses, and she basically told me I was getting what she wanted to give us. And it's funny because the grasses are the most beautiful thing. And we have been just overwhelmed by how important the garden has been for us living in here and actually our well-being. The house is got this really strong relationship to the garden. When it came to the planning, Amanda basically designed each zone to relate to what was happening inside the window. The other item that we have in the garden is an outdoor bath or an onsen, which we probably use it once or twice a month. But it's a big outside tub, and we didn't want to see the tub as you come down the garden, because the garden is effectively just a big long 3-metre strip. The tub is sort of hidden behind all these plants that she's got in there, which then changes over time. The core enclosure of the building is very simple. It's with corrugated iron, plasterboard, simple windows, etc. Then coming from that is layering. We talk about in the practice as well this idea of moments, the things that you touch. Because when you touch something, you think about it. Right? You probably don't think much about the window, but you might think about it when you touch the window handle or when you open a door. So we always like to focus the attention on those things, because they're when you sort of go, oh, this is different. The handles that we've used on the sliding doors are based on a design that's the same shape as a Casio calculator. We're holding the calculator up to the window to get the shape, and they were just customised for the Rylock windows, but they actually really embellish what is this very simple door. Having had the privilege of actually travelling around a little bit in Italy, when you walk into apartments, say in Venice or in Milan, they always have these like ridiculous stone skirtings, or there might be stone on a window reveal or whatever it happens to be. I was interested in exploring that. And one of the things that we did here is we've got timber jam, and then they've got a marble detail that sits on the reveal. And this was a little homage to perhaps some of those apartments that we've seen in Milan, where just the stone is used in this extremely simple way, and a way that's surprising. We've got like little shelves that sit up above the windows to hold the blinds, and they also hold sort of little mementos that we've had from our travels. And it's this idea that things that make the house a home is not the shelf, it's the things you put on the shelf, the little things that might mean something to you that don't mean much to anyone else. And we wanted to be able to offer a place where we could celebrate those things, but not necessarily have them crowding the room. We think that everything needs to be amazing and lots of movement and whatever, but actually keeping things simple and quiet and well built, they're actually not bad aspirations to have if you can get a little bit of joy in it as well. The most exciting thing about this house is that Jojo and I did it together. It's not like, of course I like to think I'm the architect making all the decisions, but it's very collaborative. Jojo and I look at each other and say, we love this house. And I actually don't care if no one else likes it, because it's just, we really like it. It's made so much difference to our lives. We lay in bed looking out at the garden and just say, God, I love our garden. We feel lucky, we feel privileged to be here.